Nation mourns the loss of one of the tallest statesmen the country has ever seen. Leaders, dignitaries and the general public pay their last respects to Pranab. The cremation with full state honours for the former president. Fresh flashpoint emerges between India and China after Chinese troops attempt to occupy strategic feature Blacktop in Chushul. Indian Army mobilizes forces in the area. Government held Supreme Court loan moratorium is extendable by 2 years, but fine-tuning of the same is pending. Government cites contraction in GDP as one of the factors. RBI yet to announce an extension in the loan moratorium. Supreme Court allows telecom companies to pay outstanding AGR dues in a staggered manner. Telecom firms get 10 years to clear outstanding AGR dues, 10% to be paid by 31st March next year. Riya Chakraborty's parents being quizzed by CBI today. Hotelier Gaurav Arya being questioned by ED for the second time in connection to the alleged drugs chat. Suresh Raina breaks his silence about the gruesome murder of his uncle in Punjab during a robbery bid. Appeals to the state chief minister for a thorough probe to nab the culprits. Ganpati Visarjan in Mumbai amid strict guidelines due to the pandemic. Visarjan processions barred, no puja or aarti at the Visarjan site. And cremation with full state honours for the former president done for Pranab Mukherjee. Pranab Mukherjee given a 21-gun salute. Earlier, President Kovind, Prime Minister Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, other senior dignitaries paid their last respects. In fact, his mortal remains were kept at his residence. Leaders from all parties have been paying their last respects. This is, of course, the final journey of Bharat Ratna Pranab Mukherjee, one of the nation's tallest statesmen who passed away yesterday.
भारतीय सेना के बिगुल वादक सैनिकों के दस्त हैं वो नीचे हो चुके हैं सम्मान में शोक की सलामी जो है वो इस समय दी जा रही है पूर्व राष्ट्रपति प्रणब मुखर्जी को उनके जो अन्य परिजन जो उनके पार्थिव शरीर को लेकर अंदर गए थे वो भी अब बाहर आने लगे हैं उनके बेटे अभिजीत मुखर्जी जो है वो नजर आ रहे हैं देश से धरती से यहाँ से विदा हो रहे हैं।
Let me in fact go across to Ayushman, who's joining us for more details. Ayushman, of course, what can you tell us right now?
Well, Afrida, Avni, currently the last rites taking place where we have seen the all the social distancing norm and the precautions have been taken. You can see those officials in the PPE kits there. Abhijit Mukherjee, the son of former President of India, Pranab Mukherjee, performing the last rites. Currently, if you see, Avni, before this, the mortal remains were kept at his residence for public and the dignitaries to pay their last respects. And from here on, the mortal remains were taken to the Lodhi Road crematorium. And currently, the last rites of former President of India, Pranab Mukherjee, is on.
All right, that's right, Ayushman. And if you can tell us, obviously a lot of, across party lines, we've seen people, including the Prime Minister as well, coming and paying their last respects. Can you tell us who's visited since morning?
Well, Avni, in the morning we got a message from the RSS that even Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh chief Mohan Bhagwat will also be here, and he was there. And Rahul Gandhi, the Congress former Congress president, was also here to pay tribute. JP Nadda was here. Amit Shah, who has recently recovered from COVID, could not come, but he also had a video message in which he paid tributes to the former president. And we have seen several leaders cutting across the party line, coming and paying tribute to Pranab Mukherjee, and clearly saying that he was a person who was never involved in any kind of controversy. Clearly worked on for about 5 decades in the Indian polity, and demitted the office of the president and was staying here at Rajaji Marg as in name of the citizen Mukherjee. So the several leaders across party line came, Avni, here, and all of them paid tribute, and they were clearly of the view that Pranab Mukherjee was a stalwart who graced the Indian polity for about 5 decades.
All right, Ayushman, thank you so much for joining us with all of those details. And we've got news that's coming in. Auto sales have shown signs of pickup in the month of August. So Maruti Suzuki, for example, has seen a 17% growth in sales in August, while Escorts has sold about 7,000 tractors, which is once again a good number showing up at this point in time. MG Motor has posted about 41.2% rise as well in sales. Now, this, of course, is an indication. We will have to wait for a while before the overall numbers of the entire auto industry is consolidated, but this is encouraging, considering the fact that auto numbers have been seen several, in fact, over a year of strong declines, and of course which got exaggerated with the lockdown. But now slowly and steadily we are seeing a slight increase in the auto sales numbers, which means that some amount of demand has started coming back for the segment at this point in time. All right, moving on now. After several weeks of nationwide protests by students, activists and even state governments, the joint entrance examination or JEE mains are underway as we speak. Masks, gloves, sanitizers, all of that is being used. Students were seen lining up in socially distanced queues at the exam centers earlier today. The first round was held at 9 a.m. this morning. The second one is scheduled to start from 3 p.m. That's just in a short while from now. Over 8 lakh aspirants are appearing for these exams, which will be held until the 6th of September. In fact, we've got our reporters from across the board joining us at this point in time. Neha Kulkarni is joining me at this point from Mumbai, from Powai, in fact. Neha, what can you tell us? Of course, the strict rules and protocols that are being maintained for these exams.
Absolutely, and since the morning, Avni, what we've been seeing is the students are being called early to the centers, and not all the students are reporting at least 1 hour early, but they're supposed to even come about like 1.5 hours or 2 hours early, so that each student gets that bracket of time to get inside the center without having to crowd outside the center so much. Like now 3 p.m. is the second batch when they will be appearing for the exam, and now you can see very limited number of students are entering, which means they've been given that bracket of time to come inside the center to ensure that crowding is avoided. As you can see, the students are being checked for their identity cards, and then ahead they are definitely being given the masks to be worn, and at the same time each student is being checked for his or her temperature due to the thermal screening that is being done. We are at the Ion Digital Center in Powai, Avni. This is the only center which is taking the exam of JEE students today in Mumbai. Apart from this, there are other centers in Thane, Ghodbunder Road, Road, Bandra, but they are not functional today. There's only this center that is taking the students' examination. But as you can see, what remains the most important concern for parents and students likewise is how far the center has been. Like people are coming here from Uran, Panvel and other far off areas, and for them coming to an area like Powai is almost about 50 to 60 kilometers away. And while we understand that the local trains have been started today only for JEE students, but not for the parents, so it becomes even more of a concern for them to travel. आप लोग बताइए, आप कहाँ से आए हैं और आपको आने के लिए तकलीफ हुई आज? कितने जल्दी आए आप एग्जाम से पहले?
नहीं, कोई इशू नहीं हुआ, कोई ट्रैफिक नहीं था. वी रीच्ड विद इन हाफ एन आवर फ्रॉम चेंबूर. कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुआ.
But when did you come to know, ma'am, that this exam is happening? The student was informed well in advance?
Yes, they were informed well in advance. कोई इशू.
आप लोग कहाँ से आ रहे हैं? क्या आपको थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम हुआ आने के लिए? Have you come?
No problem at all fine.
What was the timing given to you?
2:30. 2 o'clock is the reporting time, and we reached before 2.
So if we can show you once more that how the process is going on. There is a sanitizer kept right at the entrance. The students have to sanitize their hands, and at the same time, upon entrance, there are continuous announcements also being made as to how, if you have reached the center, you should get in time early so that you don't have to stand and wait in the queues. What you're seeing beyond are the parents. They are waiting for the first batch of students to come out. Remember, they have also been given the space there because the first batch also had arrived early, and that will be getting over in some time soon. But what has remained the major consensus among parents and students, Avni, is the fact that if it could have been streamlined a little more better, if centers could have been provided a lot more nearer to where the students were staying, it could have been an easier process.
Well, that's right, Neha. In fact, especially when we talk about students who are coming from far off places, well outside the city, from the smaller towns and districts, that is where they need perhaps much more help and assistance to actually get to the exam centers. We've also got Neha Hebale joining us from Bengaluru and Alok joining us from Delhi. Alok, what can you tell us about the situation there at this point in time in terms of the social distancing, the other protocols? What exactly is being done?
Kind of protocol is being in fact maintained, is being followed here also as the Mumbai is following. And here you can see this is one of the center in Vivek Vihar in East Delhi, and there are six different checkpoints, and these are the people who are standing with the thermal screening, with the other gadgets, so that they could ensure that students are following social distancing and also ensuring all the things whatever is required. In fact, a 3-layered of masks is also being given to the students in that way, and there is proper social distancing marking is also made over here in that way. Apart from that, I would just like to tell you that 2:30 is the last timing, that at 2:30 till 2:30 only the students are allowed to go inside, because the examination is starting at 3 p.m. In fact, there are some parents are also standing. Some of their students, some of their children has already gone inside. सर, आपका बच्चा अभी अंदर चला गया एग्जाम?
जी चला गया जी.
क्या आप संतुष्ट हैं सब चीज़ों से?
मुझे देखने से तो लग रहा है कि ठीक ठाक है जी.
ठीक ठाक है
जी.
बच्चे के अंदर कुछ कई तरीके कोई पैनिक या कुछ इस तरह की चीज़ें थी जब जा रहा था एग्जाम?
नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं. हम यहाँ पर देख रहे थे कि काफ़ी लाइन से बच्चे जा रहे थे. उससे पहले सैनिटाइजर वगैरह हुआ था. व्यवस्था तो ठीक लग रहा था हमें.
कुछ दूरी को लेकर कुछ प्रॉब्लम
नहीं, दूरी ठीक है. दूरी उतना होना चाहिए.
So these parents are looking very much satisfied as the all protocols and the precautionary measures which the administration is taking. We hope that students will do well in their examinations. Back to you.
All right, Alok, let's also get a word in from Neha Hebale from Bengaluru. Neha, what can you tell us about the situation in Bengaluru as far as the students are concerned, the parents also very often who accompany them, what's happening?
Well,
that's right, Avni. In fact, over here in Bengaluru, you know, the main problem that we're actually seeing is the fact that it rained last night, which is why there were several roads that were waterlogged. There were tree falls reported from some parts. So for the students in Bengaluru, that was the issue reaching the centers. But for the students outside of Bengaluru as well, while we're not talking about any arrangements extra that have been made, the existing mass transport system of buses and, you know, of course, so that is still in place, which is why we're seeing how several students, you know, haven't really, of course, had much of an issue really arriving over here. Of course, you can see how parents have arrived along with the students, and they're ensuring that they wait here till the time that their wards are allowed completely inside. You can see how a surgical mask is being given to each of these students, the sanitizer that's being provided at the entrance, apart from which the students are being checked for their, ID cards, much like in any other place. So this is precisely, you know, what's actually happening. Let's actually try and, go over and speak to one of the students who's just arrived over here for the exam. You can clearly see, of course, that they've arrived on their own vehicle. Let's quickly try and get in a word here. Hi, so you've just appeared for you're appearing for the paper today. Did you have any troubles reaching here, or are there any concerns writing the exam during the pandemic? So,
no.
Okay.
No, nothing like that.
Okay, and you must be her...
I'm her sister.
Okay. So did you have any troubles reaching here? Because we're seeing that it rained last night, apart from which also it is, several... it is the pandemic. So were there any concerns within the family? Are you happy with the arrangements that have been made?
Yeah, it's all fine. It's all fine.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Well, Avni, of course, much like in Mumbai and Delhi, in Bengaluru too, we're seeing how the students as well as the parents are just waiting to get done with the exams because of the amount of hard work that the students have actually put in. Nearly 2 years of studying is what some of the parents tell us, is what the students have really invested. So several parents, of course, just looking to get the exams done with.
All right, Neha Hebale, Neha Kulkarni and Alok, thank you so much for joining us with all of those details and getting us those voices from the various cities. Welcome back. Let's now turn our attention to the latest developments as far as the Indo-China situation is concerned. Now, this is a new flashpoint that has emerged between the two countries over the border disputes in eastern Ladakh. The Chinese army tried to occupy what is known as the Black Top, which is a strategic feature in the Chushul subsector that overlooks Indian posts along the southern bank of the Pangong Tso Lake. The Indian army has responded to China's attempt to create defensive positions by mobilizing forces from the nearby posts in the area. Now, military-level talks are being held by both sides. Remember, China violated the consensus by the two countries over the border late Saturday night in an attempt to change the status quo. Those, of course, are the latest details that are coming in. So just to take you through what happened, it was a late-night attempt by China to occupy the strategic area. The Chinese soldiers were seen with construction material. They attempted to fortify the Black Top. The Indian army stalled the Chinese advancement near strategic area, and additional troops were then deployed to stop China from pushing in. We're moving on now. This is an emotional tweet from cricketer Suresh Raina, who has now broken his silence about the gruesome murder of his uncle, in fact, during a robbery bid in Pathankot in Punjab. Now, in his tweets, Raina has said that what happened to his family on the intervening night of August 19th and 20th is beyond horrible. 4 members of Raina's family were, in fact, attacked. He said that his uncle was slaughtered to death. His cousin passed away last night after fighting for his life, and his aunt is on life support. In fact, Raina added that till date, the family is unaware of who these people were who carried out this attack and have appealed to the Punjab Chief Minister for a thorough probe to nab the culprits. Moving on now to the monsoon mayhem across several parts of the country. Now, incessant rainfall has led to flood in parts of Odisha. The visuals on your screens show the Bhatrika temple located on the bank of the river Mahanadi has submerged. Puja rituals which have been halted due to severe water logging. Water level has now crossed the danger mark in the river. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall in the past 2 days have left several parts of West Bengal Siliguri waterlogged. Normal life has been hit due to the heavy downpour. Mahananda River is flowing above the danger mark. Local residents claim that authorities are not paying heed to their problems and highlighted the poor drainage system in the city. Meanwhile, as far as Gujarat is concerned, heavy rains continue to wreak havoc in several districts of Gujarat. Over 2,000 people have been shifted from the banks of the Narmada River so far. Bharuch, Rajkot, Vadodara, Bhuj are among the worst hit districts. In fact, 3 people were washed away in the floods in Bhuj. 1 person lost his life while 2 others were rescued. Rescue operations in the area there you can see on your screens. Meanwhile, in Vadodara, also some visuals on your screens there. Water of the Vishwamitra River entered low-lying and residential areas, flooding several houses. In the Bhoi area of Vadodara, 9 people who were stuck in flood waters were rescued. These 9 people were stranded near the bank of the river Narmada and were evacuated by the rescue team. Meanwhile, in Dwarka, Ghee River is overflowing after incessant rains in the area. Visuals on your screen show how the water level in the river has increased. And as Ganesh Chaturthi comes to an end and devotees bid farewell to Bappa, there are strict guidelines to be followed in Mumbai for the Visarjan this year due to the pandemic. This is going to be a Visarjan that the city has never seen before. There will be no processions, no pujas, no aartis that will be held. People have to book online slots for idol immersion and wearing masks, maintaining social distancing, and all of that has been made mandatory during the Visarjan period. In fact, the civic body, Mumbai civic body staff have tightened security at puja pandals to ensure norms are not flouted. This time round, families are not allowed to immerse the idols themselves. The Visarjan of idols are being carried out by the BMC officials. Disha sent us this report from Siam.
किस तरह की अलग सुविधाएं की है?
साहब, इधर महानगर पालिका और सरकार की तरफ से एक चेतावनी दी गई थी। जो आखिरी आरती जो मतलब समुंदर हो या तालाब हो, जो आखिरी सेवट की आरती जिसको बोलते हैं यहाँ पे, उसको रखते हुए मतलब महानगर पालिका और सरकार ने एक डिसीजन ली, क्योंकि जो एक कहर बरस रहा है कोरोना का, इसको सोशल डिस्टेंस में कैसा बदला जाए, इसलिए आरती घर से करके आने को बोला गया है। और हर मूर्ति के साथ में 2 लोग, अगर घरगुती है तो 2 लोग, सार्वजनिक है तो 4 लोग आने के लिए बोले गए। सोशल डिस्टेंस का यहाँ पालन की जा रही है। फिर बाकी धीरे धीरे जो पूजा पाठ है उसको भावना को रख के सरकार ने इस बार इतनी बड़ी परमिशन दी लोगों को देखते हुए।
आप लोग ने क्या बनाया आज ये साल? जो हम देख रहे हैं थोड़ा बोट शेप का जैसा आपने बनाया, ये क्या बनाया? क्योंकि ये हर साल हम नहीं देखते हैं।
हाँ, इस साल ऐसा हुआ मैडम, क्योंकि पानी के अंदर जब विसर्जन में जाते थे तो नॉर्मली जुकाम और खांसी होना ही होना फिक्स है। तो अगर उसको हम चेकअप कराएंगे तो पॉजिटिव मिलेंगे, तो पानी से जितना बच सके। और इस बार महानगर पालिका के व्यवस्था की वजह से हमको तराफा मिला गया है, और तराफा पे ऊपर रख के ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों को भीगने के लिए, जो हमारे स्विमर है उनको भीगने के लिए मना किया गया है। और कायदे पद्धति से भावनाओं की तरफ से हमारा विसर्जन भी सिस्टमेटिक चालू है, आप वो देख सकते हो।
Ganpati Visarjan is here in the city of Mumbai, but this time around it is celebrated in a very low-key manner. No dhol baja, no fanfare celebrations. This time around, due to COVID restrictions, families and people cannot really immerse their own idols. So this time around, as you are looking at, we are here in Science Talab area, where literally you can see that families have handed over the Bappa to the BMC staff, and they have made this boat sort of a thing where there are boys who will immerse the idol now. So this is something which is going to take place across. Till last year, of course, families were allowed to immerse their own Bappa, be it in lakes or be it even in ponds for that matter. But this time around, this is not going to be the situation due to COVID pandemic. There are several other BMC guidelines that have come into place that only 5% can really visit the immersion site, wearing masks, maintaining social distancing for that matter. And this is something which we are not only witnessing here in Science Talab area, but there are about 60 plus natural ponds. There are 167 artificial ponds that have been made here in the entire city of Mumbai, where people can actually go and immerse their idols, but not on their own. Here quickly they have to hand it over to the BMC staff, and then the Bapa will be immersed right in front of them. So these are few guidelines that has come into picture. Also, there are, in terms of police security, there are about 35,000 police personnel who are there security-wise. They are manning the entire situation, as we can see, just to see that overcrowding does not really take place. People maintain social distancing and, due to the COVID pandemic.
And on that note, it's time to wrap up this edition. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned tomorrow now.